We're going there. I think we're on. I think we're live.
We're on.
Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome if you're joining us live, and also if you're watching the replay. Really excited for this episode of the Freedom Series. And I think I say at the start of every episode, I'm really excited. And 16 episodes in this week, I'm still freaking excited because every guest I find just has some amazingness about them. And Miranda, I'm pretty pumped for us to dive into all things. I don't even know what we're going to dive into, but I'm thinking like all things mindset, psychology, what keeps us stuck. Yeah. So for the people that are watching today, my team's in the comments. They're going to be sending through any questions you've got. So please ask all the questions. Hit the like button. Let us know that you're watching, and start a watch party. Share this because we're going to be unpacking some mindset blocks and things that keep people stuck, not just in business, but in life as well. And often it's just hearing one thing, even the slightest little way, can like unlock our life in a whole new direction. Miranda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. I'm so excited about your book, what you're creating, and it's such a pleasure to be here chatting with you today.
You were actually, I think, the second person to read it. So outside of, well, I didn't read it. I didn't read it. I just spoke it and wrote it. So outside of my copywriter, Sam, who did an amazing job pulling it together, you were the second person to read the book. How many times have you read it now?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I've read it so many times in bits. I have gone back and visited bits. I've listened to the entire audio from beginning to end and then gone back and visited.
You're actually the only person, on earth right now, outside of my, whatever you call them, the digital dude, that's listened to the audio version as well. I haven't even listened to the audio version.
Yeah. No, I listened to that too. There we go. Beginning to end, pretty much non-stop. So it was a bit of a marathon, and it's easy. It works. It's exciting. I think I've said to you so many times, haven't I? I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for what you're creating. And it's pretty exciting. There we go. There's the word again.
Okay, so just before we kick off, it's not what we're going to talk about or what we plan on talking about. Not that we really plan on talking about anything.
No.
But what would you say, like, what was the key thing for you in it? Like, was there one thing particular that you're like, shit, wow? Like, was there one thing that stood out for you or that kind of was a bit of an aha moment?
It's the steps, I think. It's what you've done in creating this beautiful blend of logic and the steps and the how-tos. There's a groundedness and a practicality, and you've tied it into something so much bigger that's within all of us. It's so much bigger, and that's where I think that's what's been missing in similar books and in the space. I mean, there's a lot of books, right? There's a lot of books out there written on the how-tos of this and that in business and entrepreneurship. And so it's tying that into a greater meaning. So it's not just about getting the thing. There's actually a greater meaning, and there's a humanness in it about who we are as human beings. So I love to think of us as whole beings and not just entrepreneurs. Like we are all of those things. We are whole beings.
All right, I'm going to go a bit esoteric. I'm going to go a bit esoteric. You've awoken something in me, and that's where, like, I feel as an existence, we're moving into more of a feminine aspect than the masculine we've been in for so long. Now, stick with me if you're watching this live and you're like, what the freaking hell is he talking about? Like, we're not talking man and woman here. We're talking the fact that all of us as human beings carry within us aspects and dynamics of the masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is very much like outcome focused, driven, goal orientated, erecting things, like building things. The feminine is more like flow, grace. The way I often describe it is like the ocean. Look at the beautiful ocean here. The surf is pumping. If you bottle the ocean, right, you're not bottling the ocean. You've just got salty water. The feminine's like that. You can't bottle the feminine. It's very freely expressed. The masculine's the boat on the ocean. And I think that we're moving into a time where we're awakening into more of a feminine essence, where the doing, as you just spoke about, is no longer bringing about the fulfillment or the satisfaction for people that once was. And I just had a call with a guy, actually, which we can touch on in a second. And it was interesting because the guy's so driven and gets amazing results. He's got a phenomenal business, yet wondering what's kind of missing there in that aspect. And there's just so much doing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, because it is, and I hear that so often with clients and just people I have conversation with, is what can I do next? What should I do to get to where I want to go, to get the goal?
Just give me the step.
Yeah, give me the step. What can I do? And sure, we can give them practical, grounded, do these things advice. And it's going to take them so far. It's going to have them hit a point where they can't, it's like there's an invisible ceiling there and there's something missing.
Yes.
And it's when it's like they're on the edge of the cusp of getting, in fact, you're familiar, Joe Parnay's words have come up into my mind, one of my mentors, yours too, love him to bits. And it's like the transition from that, the ambition driven world, the what can I get the money, get the job, get the car, get all of those things, transitioning into meaning driven world. And what is the purpose of this? Yes. What does this actually mean for me? And I think that comes up for entrepreneurs so often is that they will get the thing, they'll get the goal, they'll get the money, and then they'll realize that there's actually more than that in there. And I think that taps back into what you just shared about the masculine, feminine. There's more. Yeah. There is more than that. And where that line is for us, where we cross it, is different for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not age related. It's just not.
Yeah. It was interesting. This guy that I was speaking to, very successful business, very driven. Money's not an issue for them at all. Like, just not an issue, to the point there's money there and just doesn't even know what to spend it on. But yet it was interesting through having a conversation. Their goal was to get to a certain revenue of their business. And I was like, why? Like you're sabotaging yourself chasing a monetary goal. He's like, how do you figure? I was like, how do I figure? Because you're not driven by money. Like, you got money, you don't even know what to spend it on. And yet you think that you're going to get to this particular goal in your business from a financial perspective. But what's actually showing up for you right now is a shift in dynamic of the way that you know how to do business. And I've seen this with a lot of people that I've worked with over the past year or so. They get to the point where their doing's got them to a certain level of success, but then life starts to call on a different way of being. Yes.
And, this is something I've been thinking about in the last day. I read something somewhere, I read lots of things. And what dawned on me is we often chase, we often talk about it, even in coaching language, is we need to be, it's who we're being that creates the change, right? And who we're being, and to be our future self. Yet I think there's a step missing in there. We've got to love who we're being now.
Good.
We've just got to, because to be able to step into our future self, right, we've got to love who we're being now. And I think that links back to an acknowledgement of the past as well. So there's a bit of yesterday, there's today, and the future. And I think so much of us, we're always looking forward, and it comes up in business. I see it, business owners, entrepreneurs. It's, I want to get to this place in the future, and they're missing where they are now. Right. And
but how can we ever own something in the future if we can't own the present? Like, that's totally. the crazy thing about it. It's like, I'll be happy when I get the girl, when I get the guy, when I get the car, when I get the business, when I get the money.
Yeah.
Like, all good. Yeah. But the reality is you're not fully present and owning all aspects of your human experience here in this moment. Yeah. How do you think getting somewhere in the future is going to change that? If you can't be grateful right now for all of you, your mess and everything, how do you think that you're going to be any different when you get somewhere in the future?
Absolutely.
And like, holy shit, you could have been eavesdropping the call, because this is what I shared. I was like, so many people coach, when they coach on like ripping out the belief systems, removing the belief systems. Yeah. Like, that's the complete opposite approach to how I've coached and how I've found to be most effective, which is to honor those belief systems and honor that stuff that we've had, because you're trying to rip something out of you that you created. Like, you created a belief system at some point in time to keep you safe, right? Yeah. Now, although 20 years later, that belief's not serving you anymore, it did at some stage, otherwise you wouldn't have created it. Yeah. And when we rip it out, we're disrespecting aspects of us, and we're also preceding that this is what we're going to be like in the future. Whereas if we start to honor the past and respect and welcome in and lean into those aspects of the past, we could be more present and create a more fulfilling future as well.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, what was I going to say? It was really cool what I was just going to say. Got questions. Look at the question. I've just got, what we're saying about the being where we are. So it is about loving where we're at and being where we're at and being present in all of that. And what has got us to the point that we're at in this moment. So any of you listening today, as well as where you are at today, exactly where you're at today is because of yesterday and the day before and a decade ago and a lifetime of where you're at. So to go, I want to get rid of that, push it aside, it didn't serve me, is not honoring it. It is just not doing that. So, and yet to love where we're at now, so, I can to hear people go, but how do you do that? How do I love where I'm at now? There's parts of me that I don't even want to look at, or I'm not even acknowledging. It can get messy.
And those aspects though, like the things that we suppress, keep trying to be expressed, right? Yes. They're coming up to be expressed because we've suppressed and pushed them down for so long, right? Again, masculine energy, right? Like endure the pain, just push through, like cross the finish line, like it'll be okay. Whereas the feminine like freely expresses all that aspect. And it's like, once we express that, there's power there. There's power far beyond, because we're no longer held captive to these perceived negative traits that we have, or misaligned traits. But the other thing too is, we spoke about, I can't remember which episode it was, there's been so many the last couple of weeks. There was a conversation I had with someone around that. It's like, until we fully own all of who we are and express that, we can never truly attract our tribe. Because the tribe that we're attracting based on a false belief and perception of who we believe we are.
Yeah, I love it. It ties me back to something I was talking about just this morning, is that like content sells and character sells. Content tells, character sells. There we go. Content tells, character sells. And that character is who we're being. It's who we are. It's who we've been. It's who we're becoming. It's who we are in the now. It's the story we're telling. It's our vulnerability. It's our values. It's our beliefs. It's us showing messy bits, wobbly bits. And it's us being true to ourselves, which is, I think, what the definition of freedom really is living in alignment with us,
and being like, allowing yourself to feel fucking liberated regardless of what life's throwing at you. Like we have not seen the end of the shitstorm that's coming in 2020. Like I'm telling you right now, we have not seen the end of that. And we have a choice. We could look at what's going on right now, and we can get overly emotional and overwhelmed and sit in a space of scarcity. Like, this is happening to me, right?
Yeah.
One option. Another option, we could look at it and go, okay, this is happening for me, right? What's the deeper purpose behind this? Where's the opportunities behind this? Now, both exist.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of, I don't think it's a matter of looking too much of this one or this one, but sitting disassociated in the middle and going, okay, that's over there and that's over there, and now which way will I choose? And go to that path until you just decide to look again and make another decision. It's not being overly optimistic or overly pessimistic. Like, both sides exist. We can't get rich collecting one-sided coins. We have to look at the whole picture, and it's the same as a human experience. If we could start to own and love those aspects of us that we've felt shameful about, we felt guilty about, and I've run a lot of events and coached a lot of people around deep shame, deep guilt, and the liberation that comes from someone to realize that they're not the only person who's been through that.
Yeah, I love that. It's, I think, what does it feel like? I'm thinking about even people listening today. Is what does it feel like? Okay, if I say the getting out of your own way is not the path, there's flawed thinking in that. You are the way. Yeah. So you are the way. And
Ryan Holiday, the obstacle's the way, right?
Yeah, it is. We are the way. And to actually know, so, well, what does that actually look like? It's a bit kind of like out there conceptual. What does it look like to actually embrace ourselves and to think we are the way? Is to recognize first and foremost, what are the patterns? What are the things that are tripping us up? And what do they look like for us? Because often we can be so blinded in our own patterns that we don't even realize. And I see this coming up all the time as people thinking, touching back on what you just said, it's like, I'm unique. I'm different to everybody else. My business is different. I'm a different, what my needs are different, and they're looking for the thing that is just for them. Yet we are all different and unique. And so we are all the same.
Yeah, I could so go fucking way woo-woo here and start talking about separation of source, where it all began. But maybe that's for another episode.
Let's ground it a little bit more.
So Leanne's here. Welcome to all you guys and gals that are watching from anywhere in the world today. Welcome to this episode of the Freedom Series with Miranda Hillwill, who's an amazing transformational coach, one of our phenomenal assets and team players at the Game Changers too. So grateful to have you here. So Leanne says, hey, how you doing? Yes, before the year 2000, we were masculine driven in so many ways. Through the 21st century, we are evolving to more feminine as part of the natural evolution to a higher level of being. Absolutely. Then again, she said, so true, accepting where we are, even if we don't like where we are, we have to accept it so that we can have the energy to focus forwards. It's so true, and something I realized many years ago. I was like, man, I can't actually achieve my goals unless I first accept the starting point. Like, if I can't accept all of who I am right now, how am I going to be able to accept any parts along the process of the way? Another comment here, ding, another piece of the jigsaw puzzle dropping in, being okay with who we are, living the character.
Yeah, I love that. Embrace it, and to love it in yourself, and to explore it, to actually start to play with it, and let it come alive. Your character comes alive in layers, because many parts of us we have kept buried for many years. We made choices back when we were very young, separate all that. We it's just to slowly discover ourselves. It's a journey. It doesn't happen in a moment.
Yeah,
it is a journey, and in every moment, just to sit and to be okay. Because I think there's a living on the treadmill, there's that hamster. We've got to keep doing. And in many ways, I see that it's an avoidance. In many cases, it's an avoidance of self.
Amen.
And so to notice that and embrace us, because we are. Like, I'm totally different to you, Barry. Everyone listening is totally different to us, and we get that logically. Yet at an emotional level, part of us thinks, am I the only person with a voice in my head? Am I the only person that thinks that maybe I think differently to everybody else? Am I the only person who has this problem in my business? And it's like our ego steps in to go, hang on, your situation's different. You've got to protect yourself in some way. Yet we are not. And the moment I realized that I'm actually not alone in feeling different in the world was a moment that I stepped into a huge moment of accepting who I am today and who I'm becoming. It's empowering.
Probably the moment that every aspect of your life took off in ways far beyond what you'd ever previously realized before, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's no, I spent so many years just trying to be someone, trying to fit in, and trying to suppress all those characteristics of me now that I actually love and cherish within myself, and those around me do too. This is a really messed up thing around how our patterning works. It's like, we watch TV, we read magazines, we see people, and we have this perception of that's who we need to be. I need to be Grant Cardone. Well, no, Grant Cardone's Grant Cardone. Don't even try to be an Aussie version of Grant Cardone.
No.
Right? You are unique. Each and every one of us is unique. And I think true freedom and liberation comes from owning who we are. And until we do, we can't live a fulfilled and purpose-driven life, whatever that means for you. There's aspects of it, but I don't think that we can fully be ingrained and in bed with it. And I had almost these tears welling up as you were sharing that last bit, Miranda, because I think we're 2 weeks into the Freedom Series right now in the lead up to the launch of my book. I don't know how many interviews I've done. It's a truckload. I think it's been 16 this week or something. It's been a lot, and amazing, and all very, very different. But what I realized just then when you were sharing is almost this common thread of people fully expressing themselves. We've had marketers that talked about know your niche, get clear on your personal brand and who you are and how you want to show up. We've had people talk about values and being clear on what are your values and how do you demonstrate them within your company, within your family. We've talked a lot about this, and it was really interesting because as you know, and many people might not know the story, like I wrote the book, started in January, wrote the book, I was living in Bali, flew back to Perth in March to see my kids and to run an event, got stuck here. The book was finished, all bar the preface, and I tried to go back to Bali, but little did I know that the visa that I bought through a Balinese company was a fraudulent visa. And so I got stopped in immigration. I got detained for 4 nights with no food and water for the first couple of nights, little access to anything else. No idea what was going on, but it was the most heart-opening, transformational experience of my life. I felt so free and so liberated, which seems really messed up. I was locked in a cell. But there's this aspect of me going, you know what, like no matter what anyone tries to take away from me, they can't take away my relationship with myself and who I am for me and how I choose to show up. And this here moment, regardless of how long it lasts for, is not going to define me. This is like one chapter in the book. It's not the whole book. And I did question, like, how did I attract this? How did I attract this situation? What did I do? Like, what have I called this into my life for? Because I believe that everything happens to us, not to us, but for us. And it wasn't until I got in the plane on the way home, no sooner we'd taken off, the preface of the book just downloaded, came through me. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And what I realized is I was like, that's freedom. Like not any amount of money, not any amount of time, like they're important aspects, but true freedom is having that deep relationship with yourself, being able to show up in any environment and be all of who you are and who you're here to be. That's when the opportunities come. That's when there's abundance of money that starts to flow in and time. And there's other aspects because you're no longer, I guess, limited by your limiting beliefs or limited by this false sense of reality that we're showing up as.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience that you had, definitely.
Yeah. It was amazing. No one knew I was going through it, bar a couple of close friends. But you know, I was lucky enough too. I was in a position that the business could keep running. You guys could keep doing the amazing job that you were, without me needing to kind of anyone even noticing I'm missing. Sorry.
I was just thinking.
Questions.
Oh, it's a pile of questions. Okay. I better stop. I could keep going.
Go.
I was just thinking about freedom in terms of we're talking about that true alignment, that deep freedom, that inner experience. And so then there's the freedom of choice. I think there's another level of freedom in that if you think of even like a hierarchy, there'd be that level. There'd be a freedom of choice, which is the choice of having the money, having the time to be able to make choices. And there's that kind of freedom that we can see in our daily lives. And what I notice so many business owners chasing is that I value freedom. Freedom's one of my values. So that's what I'm going to show up in my business because that's what I value. I think that's also, it's a little bit of flawed thinking in that freedom is the result you get from showing up and doing what it takes, from showing up and doing the work, from showing up consistently, from doing the hard stuff, from facing the moments that you want to avoid things. To do all of that to get the results of freedom. And as long as all of that's in alignment with a parallel path of doing we're aligned with, what's really true to us and discovering us, then those are levels. That's what was, percolating in my head.
Aligns to that very, very basic NLP model too, like the Be-Do have, is, you know, like what going through this experience is like, holy shit, like this freedom that I've got now, which is far beyond what money's ever given me or time's ever given me. To be honest, I was like, I could have had this without the money all the time. I could have had this when I was younger. I just wasn't aware that it was available to me because I spent most of my life trying to fit in, trying to be someone that I wasn't rather than just trying to work out who I was. And I guess that's been the last 18 years is going, well, who am I? Like since this personal development started for me and my spiritual journey as well, it's like, who am I? Who am I? Who is Barry? Like, what am I here to do? What am I about? And sitting in the question and leaning into those aspects of vulnerabilities and those aspects and those quirks that others might not like, you know, but it's amazing too, though, that the relationships and friendships that are around now are more genuine and more fulfilling and more purpose driven than prior as well. And that level of freedom, no one could take it away from me. No partner or employee or client or brother or sister or mother, like no one could take that relationship away from me. Bunch of comments. So Tom, hey Tom, how you going? Welcome, mate. So for both of you guys, in the long run, are you guys more of a mentor mindset or a coach one?
In the long run, interesting. Both for me. Both.
Well, Miranda does like a long run.
Yeah, long run. I do like long runs. Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, one of my favorite pastimes in the weekends is to head out on the trails and just go running and exploring. And that's part of me tapping into part of my core self. That's a representation of me and feeding and nurturing a part of me that I've woken up in the last number of years. Yeah. And I recognize that and I nurture that in my weekend. So there we go, do like a long run. But back to your question, Tom, the coaching and mentoring, I think there's both. I think for me, coaching is more deeply transformative. It's an acknowledgement of our logical selves and our emotional selves, the past, the present, and the future, and an exploration of all of that, of all of us and our emotional world mostly, because I think we do sit in our heads a lot. There's a lot of logic, and most logic cannot solve emotion and subconscious stuff. We have to be willing to face the stuff and notice. That said, I believe mentoring has its place. So mentoring for me is, my definition, I'm not sure what yours is, the definition is around guiding people and giving them steps to follow, a proven path, a system, which is what your book does beautifully. Yet, the coaching can help unlock stuff that you maybe can't see. I'm a firm believer success does not happen alone. It just doesn't.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, I honestly believe too, you've got to be both. I think a lot of new coaches, they can't play in the space of mentorship because they haven't done the runs. They haven't got the hours. They haven't got the experience. They haven't been in the trenches yet. So they learn coaching. They're good at coaching, good at coaching and asking great questions and transforming, which is needed and amazing and awesome. But then as they go through, they start to notice patterns in things that work time and time again, and that's when they can then start to offer mentorship. But I don't think new and aspiring coaches should try to be mentors, because that's cause for massive shit happening if you say the wrong thing and you put somebody's business on the line or someone's relationship on the line because you haven't done the hours to validate the mentorship that you're giving. For me personally, I guess I play both. Like from a team perspective, I'd probably try to coach a bit more certain aspects of team members. My general manager or my integrator, Heather, it's probably a bit more like mentorship, as in like, this is what I want. I tend to ask him questions as opposed to some other management team or other staff members. If a client calls me, I tend to go full mentorship just because I'm impatient, just want to give them the fix. But it depends though too. Like I'll fill into where they're at, and it's like, oh no, they need to get this for themselves, or this is something I can just give them. Like hey, here's a script to have this call. Here's a template for this funnel. Versus no, like there's something going on inside you right now that keeps attracting these results. Let's help you break through that. So I think both. Comment here from Len. Failing to appreciate that we can only be second best when we are trying to be someone else, because they'll always be the original. Absolutely. Sue and Barry, I am downloading truckloads as well. Fantastic. Awesome to hear. So then again, wow, true freedom definition. I resonate with that. Yeah, great. Leanne, freedom is about creating flexibility so that we can have the options to choose. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. What else you got?
Oh, I was wondering if you had some more questions there. Yeah. So it was interesting. What have I got? I'm just trying to think. I heard a really interesting quote this morning, is that we can't see past the choices we haven't yet made. We can't see past the choices we haven't yet made. And, so I was trying it on for size, and that's part of the exploration of like, okay, interesting. So all the decisions we haven't yet made. So often I see, these how-to questions coming up, and how do I do these things? How do I achieve these things in my business? When I think it's part of the entrepreneur in us, which wants to see the end point all of the time. It's like, I can see the goal. I want to get there. Yet then there's a series of steps to get there. And, it's to make choices and trust in ourselves in that moment, to make choices that are in alignment with where we want to go. And I notice sometimes coming up is that our past, so linking back to the patterns that we were talking about earlier, was our patterns and our belief systems start predicting our future, is that things start rearing up as soon as we get to the edge of that cliff of the unknown to something that we haven't done before. It feels really uncomfortable. And that's when many turn back and they start reversing back into their old life. Yeah, they just reverse right back into it. And it's safety, absolutely. And I was talking about this with a client just yesterday who was experiencing I don't know, let's just put it all in a bucket called discomfort. There was stuff coming up, there was thoughts, there was, I don't know what to do next. There was looping, there was indecision, there was, you know, all sorts of inner stuff going on. And I said, that means you're in exactly the right place. He's like, what? I said, you are exactly where you need to be, because if you were not experiencing this, then you would be doing the same things you've always done in the past. It would be comfortable and it would be familiar. And that there is to notice. So to notice where discomfort comes up and actually lean into it, to turn towards it, knowing that that is in fact the path forward. Yeah.
It's one of my mentors shared with me once. He's like, the experiences that we learn to survive become the experiences that are continued. Survival depends upon. And so, you know, if we've survived experiences growing up, poverty or, you know, poor relationships or abuse and things like that, even though as we get older, we realize that these experiences are not serving us and there's better ones out there, it's not the logical brain that's driving the unconscious actions and decisions and reactions. It's the critter neurology, which is programmed with abuse equals safety, because I've survived it. What we don't know is how to have a non-abusive relationship. And so this is where it is important going through this journey of business is to notice where the edges are and to be okay to lean into them, to be okay to kind of feel a bit of like butterflies or a bit of anxiety or a bit of fear, a bit of the unknown, like not obviously in something that could be a stupid decision that takes your business down, but start to kind of gamify that with yourself and start to play around with like, oh, like where are my edges on this, or where are my borders on this, and how can I lean in? Because that is where we started the conversation. You're starting to own those aspects of you, being more in flow with what comes up. But there is just such a power in knowing that, like, you know, I remember I used to be so scared of posting on social because of what someone said. And it's like, I think once you own all of who you are, it's like, I don't give a shit what someone says about me, because their opinion of me is none of my business.
It's the echoes of the expectations of the past that kept us safe that we've carried to the now. And we're constantly setting expectations of ourselves based on something external to us, be it somebody from our past, even someone from now. And often I like to look through the lenses. If you were to say to yourself in the moment, like, is something you're experiencing right now, ask yourself this question: is it perceived or is it real? You know, is it, am I just perceiving that? Am I creating that out of my own mind? So, and if I took a step back from what I'm looking at right now and went, okay, what are the facts? And what am I, you know, it's fact versus fantasy in a way. So what are the facts of the matter right now? Like you and I having this conversation, for example, we are on Zoom, we're doing this chat. You know, the other thing could be is I could be thinking, wow, what is Barry thinking about me right now? That's all fantasy. It's not based on anything other than thoughts I'm having on emotions or feelings that could be coming up. All of those things. No, I don't. I was making that up. And I don't mind. I'm good with it.
Oh, Miranda, it's such an incredible conversation. If you're joining us live, welcome. So grateful you're here. Please hit the like button and also click on the link below to put your details in to start today with the Freedom Series. We have something really special happening this Sunday, the 12th of July at 8 a.m. Perth time, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be interviewed by a phenomenal woman called Amber around all things Path to Freedom. And we're going to do a pre-release launch of the book this Sunday and offer some ridiculous bonuses for those that choose to jump on board with the pre-release copy. They'll be shipped out on the 3rd of August. So highly recommend, schedule in your calendar, make sure you follow us on social and be there live at 8 a.m. Perth time, 10 a.m. Australian Standard Time this Sunday to kind of check out what we've got in store. Just an FYI, Amber's super competitive and so am I. So I've been secretly putting together a whole list of bonuses I can offer to out bonus her on Sunday as well, because she's going to be throwing in a bunch of bonuses too. So it's going to be heap of fun. Make sure you come along and looking forward to seeing you guys there as well and getting your questions answered too.
Exciting. I'll get that one in my diary for sure.
Yeah. Miranda, if you were to give some advice to the 10-year-old version of you, knowing what you know now, what would you say to her?
She was pretty cute, actually. I would say, don't wait for the permission of others to be all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the permission, give yourself permission. I often say, whose permission are you waiting for to others? It's like, I would, get her to give her the permission to herself to be all of her, to know that every different aspect of her was her place in the world was okay and was worthy of celebration. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Amazing. Miranda, thank you so much for joining
today. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who's joined us throughout the different platforms online. Hit the like button and tag someone in who you think needs to hear the conversation today, and look forward to seeing you all this Sunday at 8 a.m. Perth time, 10 a.m. Australian Centre Time for the pre-release launch of my book, The Path to Freedom. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Miranda.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost if you get through. All that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forward and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world. And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session, make sure you follow us on social, and start to date with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William Maglidity. Thank you so much for your support, and look forward to seeing you next one. Bye for now.